Why, hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Everyday EDC. My name is Tyler, and today I'm going to be going over just some knives that I absolutely love in my collection that don't see enough pocket time. I'll kind of go over why I love them and why they don't see enough pocket time, and I'll try to keep it nice and short. This is my Kershaw Launch 10. It does not make the list because it sees quite a bit of pocket time. All right, in no particular order. This is my PM2. Yes, I have it zoomed in so we can kind of see it much better. So my PM2 makes this list. I do carry it, but I feel like I don't carry it enough. And why does it make this list? Well, it's just such an overall good knife. We all know it. We love it. It is what it is, right? This is too close. Let's get up here a little bit. It's not going to work out for us. Yeah, there we go. We all know it. We love it. Once I slapped on some titanium scales on this guy, holy shit. It just, like, I immediately fell in love with the heft, the solidity that this thing really provides. This is just a really, really good knife. Now, this does make it into my pocket, but I've been having trouble getting rid of all the blade play while keeping decent action. As you can see, this action's a little stiff, which is okay. So that's one frustrating point. I did change out a lot of the hardware. This is like my first fully, not my first, but I have a bunch of custom stuff in here. And these are titanium hardware from, this is titanium hardware from Etsy. Now, what sucks about that is some of the screws were mismatched. They didn't line up right. Well, they lined up perfectly. That's not the screws, but they weren't the right sizes, A. B, this titanium stop pin creates that friction between steel and titanium, causing that friction stick, almost like lock stick, where sometimes it gets really bad. If I coated it in some graphite right now, so it's a little masked, but other than that, I mean, when that graphite wears out, this thing sticks really, really bad. So I'm gonna have to go back to some steel stop pin right there, but that means I'm losing kind of some of that color. Part of the reason that I don't have the blue screws in the pivot is the same what I was just talking about. They don't fit right. So be careful with your aftermarket screws that you purchase, right? But this is my PM2. I freaking love this knife, and this probably sees more pocket time than the rest of the stuff on the list. Next up, let's get a shocker out there. This is my Microtech Socom Elite. Now, when I first opened this, I wasn't as impressed as I got over time. This thing is so damn impressive. Look at that. So damn impressive. And the ergonomics are much better than I would have initially thought. It felt weird at first, but then you get it and you're like, ah. One of the main reasons why this doesn't make it into my pocket, short of having to carry review knives and whatnot, is that it it's tipped down, and it sounds so stupid, and it's nothing to do against tip down. It's that I'm so used to tip up that when I throw this in my damn pocket, I forget, and it ends up either falling out of my pocket or just goes all the way in the pocket and the clip's not there because I'm trying to do it backwards. That's frustrating. Beyond that, it's pretty large, and I'm kind of getting away from the extra large knives. This isn't extra large, but it's pretty damn large. I'm much more preferring something around the size of this. I don't prefer this one in particular, but this is my Ray Laconico min pin. Yes, it's a custom. Ooh. But point being is this size is much more preferable for EDC use. The bug out. I've grown to love the bug out once I slapped on some titanium scales, and it's that size of knife that I'm preferring to carry on an everyday basis. And I carry one large, one small, but if it doesn't fit in my fifth pocket, which the SOG Terminus, for example, doesn't fit in my fifth pocket because it's such a deep carry, it ends up being my main knife, and then if I carry a secondary, it's something like the Launch 10. So that's kind of why this gets bumped off the list. Will I keep this? I don't know. I'm thinking about it because they're not making anymore in the US, but I just think this is a really good knife that probably deserves more pocket time. Next on the list, let's see here. Let's just grab something random. This is a newer acquisition. This is my ZT308. So far, probably my favorite ZT, maybe even over the 0562. this action is just so stupid. The ergonomics are pretty good, and it's just a monster of a knife. For the same reasons, you're going to see a lot of the same theme in this. For the same reasons as my Socom Elite, it's just such a beast. There's very little opportunity to say this makes sense today. Now, we don't need that opportunity. We just make our own. But, you know, it's preference-wise, I'm kind of steering towards the smaller knives. So I'm not going to rehash that. But overall, this 308 is so freaking cool. So damn smooth and so satisfying to flip. Yeah, I'm so glad I picked this guy up. Next on the list, once again, in no particular order. All right, so here's my Artisan Cutlery Proponent. This is the, like, I don't know, $70 D2 version. I love this knife. I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't make sense, but it is so good. And when I made my first cut, this thing slices through material way better than one would expect. And it feels very solid in hand. It is just a massive knife that makes me smile every time I pick it up. And I probably should carry this more, but how? Yeah, how? I mean, it's just, you gotta have double belts on to carry this thing. It's just friggin' massive. But everything about it is really, really cool. This is a badass knife. The Artisan Cutlery Proponent, everybody kind of understands why you don't carry it more often just because of the size. This is probably the most behemoth knife on the list. But, I mean, I don't know. This is just really, really cool. And like I said, it is a joy to use. I thought it was going to be a lot less practical. In use, it is fantastic. Ah, the Proponent. Very cool. You guys are surprised that made the list, isn't it? Like I said, it's my favorite knives that I don't carry enough. So this next one, we'll say the last two. This is my Knives Saga. So there's a story behind this guy. I was obsessed with this design before I got it in hand. And it was basically out of stock, and it was a limited run. So I was like, oh shit, I'm never going to get it. Well, I talked to Justin over there at White Mountain Knives. He happened to have one that for some reason wasn't listed. I didn't get any special treatment. It was just as much as me reaching out to say, hey, do you have it? I know. And he's like, actually, I do. So that's how I got my hands on this. And ergonomically, it is okay. The choke up position is okay. The action is pretty damn good, but that lock bar is stiff. It's probably still not even really broken in because this sits on my shelf. And I went through a Mikkel Williamson phase where I just loved all of his designs ever since the Hell X from Concept. And this is no exception. This carbon fiber is beautiful. This titanium milling is just gorgeous. This knife is fantastic. And this is probably one of the only ceramic ball bearing pocket clips that I thoroughly enjoy. This knife should see more pocket time. It is just really, really cool. It's it's not too big. I mean, it is kind of big, but it's like, it's thin. It's going to be easier to carry than most on this list. And it's cool. I should be carrying it more. I think this was probably, if I were to say I'm collecting knives and not using them, this would be the one knife that I haven't really used that I've been collecting, and I don't know what it is about it. I'm never going to get rid of it. It's already crossed my mind like 5 times. Should I trade the Saga? Nope. Right? And so it's not going anywhere. And I don't keep knives I don't use, but this is kind of that special case for some reason. And to some of you, it may not make sense, but to me, I mean, the hunt, the getting this in hand, all the detail work that go into this is just so freaking cool. This knife is badass. All right, next. This is my Vero Isotope. So the action on this, I talked about it before, is stupid. This is a knife that I come home at the end of a long day and I just pick up and I flip a couple times. Oh, right? And I think part of that has to do with, I take satisfaction in the fact that I watched reviews while this was on the way, and the reviews did not sing the action well. Well, they didn't let it break in. And then this thing also does this. I showed this in another video, where it snaps open, you barely do it, and it wants to go back. Like it springs out. And that's because the detent track has a detent ramp that basically it makes it smooth to break. so you don't really feel the clicky break or the double detent, or I should say, what do they call that? The double clutch, right? You don't really feel that with this because of that detent ramp, but it also creates this little like suction where it wants to suck right back out. Boink. Just really cool design. The reason this doesn't get much use is I consider this a classy knife, but it fits into a weird category of it's super classy looking, it's gorgeous to look at, but it's also too big to be like a normal classy knife, right? Like you're not going to throw this in dress pants. This thing's pretty large. So it's in a weird category that I don't have much practical use for, other than just satisfaction. So is this a collector piece? No, I'm not scared to use it. It's just the applications of it, you're kind of like, okay, right? Like it's just, why carry this when you could carry something that you know you're going to beat on? Because I don't want to beat on this. I mean, this is a gorgeous integral piece that's what, $500 or whatever it is. And I mean, just this marbled carbon fiber. Oh, it looks so good. And then, it's just such a good looking knife. And in hand, these ergos kind of grow on you. I didn't like them at first. I still don't think they're the best, but they're not bad. And this knife deserves more pocket time. It's just that cool. This is the Vero Isotope marble carbon fiber inlay. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous piece by Vero. Changed my mind of Vero, by the way. I wasn't a huge fan of the frame lock Axon. It just wasn't my style. It wasn't that I thought it was a bad knife. It just didn't fit my style. This thing, while it doesn't fit a lot of practical use, the style, I just love the design language. I love everything about this guy. This guy's super, super cool. Last on the list is going to be a surprise, and it would never have made this same list if you were to rewind 6 months ago, okay? This was in my pocket like every day, but I kind of feel bad. I've been neglecting it. That is my wee malice. Ooh, right? Oh man, I even snapped the tip off of this guy and did a little work on it. I can fix it better. Obviously, the tip is still bent there. But I did sharpen that out of it. I need to do another sharpening. I think I did a pretty crap job of sharpening it. But this thing is so smooth. It is relatively practical to carry despite being kind of a behemoth of a knife. But the ergonomics on this Ferrum Forge did so good. This feels so nice to use. And like I said, I used the living crap out of this in the past. And it's held up very, very, very well. Unfortunately, it just hasn't seen much pocket time. Part of that is I got a huge influx of knives in. The other part of it is when I broke that tip, I don't know if I grew a little apprehensive of using it. I'm not quite sure what went through my mind as far as like it's on the shelf right next to the Saga. I do pick it up every now and then. I use it. And this is one that I took outside when I was cutting through like thin like particle board, and I was just ramming this thing through there and going to town. This thing is a freaking workhorse of a knife. The only reason that tip snapped is because I was trying to pry. Yeah, I said it. I was trying to pry through some like 3 or 4 ply thick cardboard that had an aluminum piece that I didn't see on the inside of the cardboard pinched up against the wall. That made it to tri-wall, so it's like a 3-way. All right, that made it to where when I was prying, the very tip, just freaking coincidentally, just our luck, right? Very coincidentally, caught the edge of that aluminum, so I didn't know it. And as I'm trying to whittle up the actual piece of cardboard, that tip went kink. I knew it as soon as it happened. It was Malice Monday for me, and I remember the date, the time. I don't remember the date, but I remember the time of day. I remember exactly what I was doing, exactly what I was wearing, exactly where I was, and exactly the feeling that I felt when I snapped that tip. It just was, I was so angry. I was so angry at myself. I was so angry at the world. I was so mad when I did that because this knife is a grail knife of mine. It is part of my original Holy Trinity. The Shaman, the Benchmade Super Freak, and the Wee Malice was my original Holy Trinity, and I was so upset. So upset. But that's not a reason not to use it. It is a really, really good knife, and it does deserve more pocket time. All of these knives, let me see if I can get them all on screen. Oh, there's no freaking way. Yep, there you go. There's some side view of my recording studio. All of these knives deserve more pocket time, and they are my favorite knives in my collection that don't see enough pocket time. My name is Tyler. I hope this was entertaining. You guys stay sharp, stay safe, and have a great freaking rest of your day. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. It genuinely means a lot. If you liked what you saw, please subscribe, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. If you didn't like it, give me some feedback in the comments below and hit the thumbs down button. In case you guys don't know, I do have a Patreon, which will be listed right here. In that Patreon, we're giving bi-monthly giveaways to just the Patreons based on the number of Patreons that we have in the Patreon. We will also be giving discounts on all the knives that I sell based on the number of patrons. My name is Tyler. This is Everyday EDC. You guys stay sharp, stay safe, and have a great day.